All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Serving It Up with Joe Nathan, and I am live in Albuquerque, New Mexico with Miss Deidre Michelle. It is such an honor to be here with you.
It is such an honor to have you.
Might I please shake your hand?
Yes,
so much.
Ditto as
Yes.
well. I'm so
Awesome.
honored. I'm so honored that you're
so
here,
much.
and I'm happy that we get to do this.
Yes, I am so happy.
To do the interview
Yes,
too, as well as your contract.
Oh yes, yeah, we just finished my contract. Thank you so much.
Yes, he's part of. I want to shake his hand one more time because this man is now part of my agency.
All right, thank you.
Yes,
I am so excited, you guys. I'm like a kid at her candy shop. So I'm live at DMe Talent Agency. This is Miss Deidre Michelle. And so I've got a few questions I'd like to just share with myself and with our listeners who might see this later. Just a few questions.
Absolutely.
You know, as the founder of the agency, know you weren't, or were you raised in this area, or you started somewhere else and came this way?
I was actually born and raised in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Wow.
Graduated from high school here. I was the mascot in high school.
Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I was like full hometown girl.
Right.
And then I had an opportunity to audition to have management in Los Angeles. And I booked the audition, but then they gave me 90 days to move out there. Move.
Wow.
Like, you must be here, must be local to Los Angeles. So I sold my home.
Yes.
I packed up my life. I took my dog and my cat and moved to Los Angeles to like a 600 square foot apartment underneath Burbank Airport. So we literally knew like the airline schedule. Yeah, and
you
so
can hear it every time
they take off and land. You know?
Yeah.
And so I actually spent about 8 years in Los Angeles pursuing my career out there professionally, and then decided to retire.
Right. But that didn't happen.
That don't exist.
And I'm so glad.
Yeah, that don't exist. We don't retire. Retirement not for entertainment.
So take me back. Take me back around, I don't know, let's say about 3 or 4 years in age.
Absolutely.
Where was Deidre then?
So it's so funny. I actually just did a show the other day where I was telling the woman interviewing me, Candace New.
Yes.
I said, you know, it's funny that my first time on stage, I was in this ugly China doll outfit. Because my mom was like, oh, let's put her in ballet. And so I was in this like little turquoise silk China doll outfit, and my hair was short and permed. Right. And that was my introduction to the industry, is go on stage, yeah. And so I actually started in dance, and then pursued more into modeling for a while, and then fell really heavy back into dance. And so I've always kind of had this back and forth. I never tried acting. I never thought that was like my calling. Or I never like trained in it. But yeah, so since like it was about 3-4 years old. I mean, I've been on stage since I was
same myself.
Yeah, and it's kind of and we were even talking the other day. We're kind of different. Like performers, we're a different breed of people.
Of course, yeah.
We're a little gypsy.
People can't understand.
People don't get it, but they love us, but they don't get us.
That's right.
We love you, but y'all are wild.
And it's funny. So let's chat just a little bit on how the connection is between the modeling, the acting, you know, the industry itself. What is your take on that?
You know, I think that regardless of whether you're in modeling, acting, or dance, I mean, I feel like it's kind of all the same, general passion, the same ball of where it comes from is we like to perform. We like people to watch us. We like to do things that aren't just, you know, normal inside the box, even musicians. You know, it's like all connected. It's all connected to where it comes from this place internally. It comes from this place inside of us that we love, you know, doing this, and almost for ourselves, but also so we can get that energy back from people enjoying what we do. And I feel like it's trying to explain to somebody that doesn't like that. They think we're crazy, but you know, it's like whether you're doing something that is like you're putting on a skit, or whether you're doing a dance, or whether you're playing an instrument, it all comes from this same like internal passion that I think is like a creative, it's just a creative side of you that you allow to take over, you know? And so we really are connected. We all have to train. We all have to train. It takes time, no matter what part of the industry you're in. We have to actually train in what you do. And if you really think about it, if you think like, no matter what side of the industry industry you go into, have you taken classes? Have you researched? Have you put in your effort? And I did read something one time that says you are not a professional or a master at something unless you've done over so many thousands of hours of actual
And I'm trying to reach that.
Right, and to become a master at something, you can't just do it for a couple months or a couple years. It has to be this this dedication, this self-discipline that you do daily, a couple times a day for years, months. And then all of a sudden you're ready. And I always tell people success is preparation meets opportunity. And so you have to realize that that prep has to happen for every aspect of the industry, no matter what you're doing, music, dance, you know, acting. You have to train to know what you're doing. Even if you're naturally talented at it, it still has to be reined in and then directed. Because there are techniques of correct ways to do things in every aspect of the industry.
And I'm learning that with Steven.
With Steven, yes, with Steven Murpho. Yes, and he's one of the best acting coaches that I have ever come across in my life, which is why I support him so much.
Awesome.
And that even, you know, kind of shows like how hard he pushes people in class. And I always use this example is, you know, if you're a dancer, imagine if you didn't dance for months. And you let that muscle memory go a little bit, and then all of a sudden you went to some huge audition for Beyonce or something. Would you really be ready? And I tell my actors the same thing, because they're like, oh, I took an acting class last summer.
Just one?
Just one?
And
just
you're ready?
One? You good? You know what I mean? And same thing for models. And I think that models need to realize you have to practice that as well. You have to practice your angles and your energy and your character, and you know, just like we were talking about earlier, what are you modeling, yourself or merchandise? And when you get booked on a shoot, you can't have 100 photos to find it. You need to find it right away, and that you have to train to do that. You know, and so I think that's another thing that's very connected within the industry is everybody has to train. And then I also think everybody in the industry has to realize that it's a struggle financially. There's never been one person that has ever, you know, auditioned one day and all of a sudden they're making millions of dollars on movies. If you talk to anybody that has actually come up in the industry, put in their time, put in their free shows, put in their low pay, put in their just for resume and for exposure, just for footage.
All the good, bad, and ugly.
All those things that you put in, it takes time to build up, and you're going broke doing that because it costs money to be in the industry. It costs money to take classes. It costs money to get photos done. You know, and then also time away from work. It takes money to not commit yourself to a job where you feel like you're stable, to really put it into your passion. And so I feel like every single person that has been successful in the industry, no matter what side of the industry, has actually experienced being broke. You know, being broke, like I'm struggling, but I'm doing this because I love it. And so I feel like that's another thing that connects us is the passion for what you're doing. You know, we as performers don't settle for a 9 to 5. We don't settle for stability. We don't settle for consistency. You know what I mean? And so I feel like when you do something like that with your life, you're driven by your passion. Which again, somebody who wants stability and consistency, which if that's for you, that's for you, and I bless you for that, and good for you for that.
Of course.
But performers, that's why I always say we're a different breed of people. It's because our life is based on passion and joy for what we do, even if we're not making money, even if nobody's watching us, even if we have 10 followers. You know, and we do it because we love it. So that's another thing.
The normal person,
the normal person,
they don't understand that.
No, like and, you know, even my parents, like, my God, you know, you're grown. I'm not going to age myself because I almost did. But you know, you're grown, and I would feel like at this time in my life, stability would be a little bit more consistent in a normal person's life. And they're like, you don't have health insurance, you don't have a husband, you don't have, you know, steady paycheck, and I wouldn't have it any other way because this is how we do. You know, and so I feel like that's kind of another thing that connects people, and no matter what aspect of the industry, is passion for.
Hold one second. I think we cut off. No, we didn't. Okay, I have to edit that.
Hi, we're gonna edit this part out. I gotta check my phone anyway.
Okay, so tell me, Ms. D. What are some of the stumbling blocks that you had to face? And if it blew you back, let's say 10 months, how would that affect you, and how would you correct it, control it, and then be able to manage it and to share it with someone to say, this is what I've been through?
There's numerous stumbling blocks. I feel like in anything that you do in life, you have to kind of take your chance, and if it works out, it's great. But if it doesn't, you learn from it, you know. And even if it's the worst situation that you've been in, what did you take out of it? Right. What did you learn from it? What could you do better at next time? Or what do you know not to do? Right. Or what do you know not to fall for? That's good. You know what I mean? Even if it's a bad situation that you have to go through, you still have to like find what's the thing. Even if it was horrible, well, I know not to do that again. That's right. You know what I mean? And so for me personally, you know, my base in the industry was dance, and realized that yes, acting auditions are tough, modeling auditions are tough, and dancing auditions are just as intense. There's 500 girls in one room that are all sickening. Right. And what they do first is they go in typecast. Right. So you could be 1 inch too tall. You could have the wrong color of hair. You could have not worn your cute audition outfit that day. Right. And they literally stand you in a line and say, "Thank you, thank you, please stay. Thank you, please stay." And so, you know, the audition process, and then once you make it past the typecast, then they teach you choreography, and it might still then be 200 deep, and you can't even see the person teaching. You're in the very back, and you end up learning it in the parking lot while groups are going. You know, it's intense, you know. So I think my biggest one was when I wouldn't book an audition. Which, you know, people need to realize, and I think people's expectations are a little not realistic. People need to understand that you're going to do audition after audition after audition after audition, where they're going to say no, for whatever reason, even if you were the best. You might have just happened to look like the artist. Right. But you just never know what the no is from. That's right. But to have so many no's until you get the one yes. That's right. And so it was difficult for me to get the no, sit in my car, cry to my mom, and then get it together enough to go take another class that night, or to go to the next audition the next day. That's rough. Right, and then you know, so that was one thing that you have to persevere. Right. And you've got to keep going through. And so that's one thing that it's an internal self-discipline where you have to in your mind think, they didn't pick me for this, so on to the next. That's it. You know? What's next? What's next? That's what I'm looking at. You know, and even if I get no after no after no, I appreciate the experience. Right, and why am I doing this? Not necessarily to book the job, but because I love this. Right. I love what I'm doing. You know, and so that was one thing. But then also I feel like life kind of got in the way. You know, I tried to do the husband thing. Right. My career took over. Yeah. You know, I then had the most amazing child ever, who, thank God, is just a natural performer. So he goes with my lifestyle. Right. He just goes with it. I mean, we bring him to the agency, and he's like, "Can I have a photo?" Like, he's like photo shoots or dance or whatever. Oh, wow. But I really have found that I feel like successful people have a hard time in relationships. Is because our focus is so unintentionally self-driven. Right. That it's very difficult to find somebody that gets that's flexible with the schedule, flexible with your focus, flexible with your passion and your drive, and what you're putting all this time into. And so that's kind of another stumble that I did have is, you know, I was married when I moved to Los Angeles, and then tried to go on tour, tried to have club shows every night, and it's very hard for somebody to feel like they're getting that attention that they deserve as you're significant. And so that was also another battle. And so you've got to kind of learn, who am I going to bring into my life or into my circle, and can they handle it? Because I don't want to unintentionally put somebody through pain. That's good. Because I know my lifestyle, which is why I'm very for it. If I ever meet anybody, I'm like, so listen, let me listen. Dating me is no fun, you know? And now as an agent, it's really no fun. Because instead of just doing the one thing, I'm managing over 100 people doing their things. And so that was kind of another stumbling point that I had to learn how to work through, learn how to get over, learn how to deal with it, and make it part of my life to where it fit. And then move on with, again, my passion. That's awesome. Because sometimes I see, not so much in the modeling, but in the acting, when people show up at the premiere, or they paid that ticket and went and sat down and watched that movie, we are telling their story. They're watching man, that's me. They're not going to say it out openly, but they're secretly saying, oh my God, this is my life. And then it's like a breath of fresh air to see the end conclusion. How do you feel about that? I mean, I feel like it kind of, we let them escape reality. Thank you. That's what I'm looking for right there. I mean, we give them a moment. You know, if they go watch a movie and it's an hour-and-a-half movie, and they can go in and they can see somebody else living out these things, and then they kind of think to themselves like, damn, I ain't that crazy. You know what I mean? Or, you know, and I also feel like it gives somebody else maybe a connection.
Yes.
What if somebody goes to view a movie or a musical performance or a play or a dance performance or to go listen to a musician, and you have that moment of connection?
Right, right.
And it's not your intention to connect with that one actual person.
That's right. That's
but
right.
when you're putting out your life to the world.
That's right.
And, you know, actors get to kind of pretend to be somebody else's life, but they still get to portray it. And people do find connections. But, like, I feel like, you know, musicians, dancers, models, models are kind of, maybe not quite as much, but I feel like musicians and dancers, really, we express our life on stage.
Right.
And so when somebody else feels that moment, you know, when you're watching, like, somebody sing and you just start crying.
Yes.
And you can't help it.
Been there, done that. Or singing myself.
Or sing, it's like, that's why I can't watch American Idol, because I cry from beginning to end. I mean, their story, and then they sing, and then they get the praise, and then they get the ticket, or they don't get the ticket, and they don't get the ticket, and then they have to tell themselves, go back and train for another year. Come back better. Right. You know, and so it's like, I cry all the time. Like, I cry at home with commercials. But no, I feel like, you know, us as entertainers, again, we have this special gift.
Yes.
We have a special gift that we can offer to people to escape reality and maybe find a connection where they want to. Say they don't have a big friend base. Say they don't have a big family base, but you turn on the radio and you hear that song.
There it is.
You hear that song and you're like, damn, this song like gets me.
Yes.
It gets me in this moment
every
right
time.
Now, you know? Yes. And so I think it's just a beautiful thing. And I don't know if that was like the answer.
No, that's the perfect answer.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, we can look at it from every dimension we can. But to find an even ground, right? Because everyone is on this roller coaster. Right. We don't know if they're in the high, climbing, they're at the top.
They might be on the twist around.
Yeah, but they're somewhere, and we can meet them. We can help them. We share with them. Right. We teach them. Right. Or they reteach us. Because living out of that moment, hey, I find myself in some characters.
Right, right.
You know
some characters you do as an actor, you actually... And I feel like that's what makes some of those acting moments that some people are so in love with. Right. They don't realize that might have been a moment that actor actually experienced in real life, and then they're pulling that in. And you'll actually find, like, whenever they're trying to get somebody to cry on cue, you have to tell yourself, you've got to go there. Right. Think about something that's happened in your life and go there, that has made you, so that whenever you express that moment, it's believable to the audience. Because also I do feel like if you fake it, they know it.
That's right.
If it is not acting where you can really believe they're happy or sad or in love or scared, it's not real. Same with models. Right. That's why I like to put models through emotional exercise. If I can't believe that you're actually happy, I can't sell you for one of the prints that's inside a picture frame for the family at TJ Maxx. You know,
she's teaching me right now.
Yeah, y'all, you can't fake it. And also think about this too. Say you go to watch some type of a stage performance of some sort, and the performer starts to get insecure and unsure of themselves. And then you can see their confidence leave, and now the fantasy's been broken. Right. You know, it's like if you see a model walking down the runway and they're there, and all of a sudden they start doing this. Right. You know what I mean? You see that they're... It's weird because when you see somebody on stage, it's almost like they're untouchable. It's almost like they're not real. It's almost like this fantasy. And the second that you as the performer break character, the fantasy is lost. Right. You know, and that's true for a dancer, an actor, a model. You know, it's just gone. And then as the audience, you feel awkward watching them. Right. Because you see them being like this, and so you're like, should I not watch? Right. Like, you know what I mean? And so, you can't.
Did that ever actually happen?
Oh my God. Yeah. You can't. So you know, the other thing about performance is your commitment. Once you step out on that stage, that's it. You have to commit to what you're doing, because the second that you feel insecure, you lose it, the audience sees it, and then that energy builds up inside you. Yes. You know, and you release that. Yeah. And then you make it feel that you're uncertain. And so
I get that. Being a
stage presence.
Being a preacher, right?
Yes.
but I'm like this. I believe in every element, right? Everything comes into play with acting, with modeling. To touch on what you were talking about, you got to realize that the cameraman, you've just wasted his time. Right. The producer, you wasted the producer. You wasted the agent who booked you.
Right. And then there's money behind that time.
And you got to commit.
Like when you really get into some of these bigger projects, and we're talking about dollar signs behind every minute and second of camera time. But, you know, and that's why I also tell models all the time, like, you need to get in front of the camera and find it. Right. Because every time that camera clicks, it's dollar signs.
Exactly.
Somebody's paying for that.
Yes.
And if you can't find it, you're wasting money and you're wasting people's time.
That's right.
You know, and so that's why, again, it's kind of going back to training, to where you need to know what you're doing if you're going to do it professionally.
Right, right.
And if you're going to pursue it, really pursue it, but pursue it on a professional level to where you show up and you do it.
Yes.
You know, and you have to learn how to do it.
Yeah, that's
and you have to mess up a couple times on stage to know how it feels to feel crazy. Because I have messed up on stage numerous times. I mean, where I've lost character, I have slipped and fallen. I've gotten my heels stuck in my fishnet and had to, you know what I mean? Like, I've had moments of losing it on stage. There was one time where I was on stage doing a full performance and I forgot the choreography. Oh, wow. And so everybody else is going for it, and I'm like, trying to find it, like looking around. But to be honest, and I got off stage and I was like, that was horrible. And it's almost like a moment of realization. Right. Do I quit because that was the worst thing that ever happened to me? Or do I go back and make sure that never happens again?
That's right. That's
you know, and you've got, and it's this weird self-push. Right. You've got to internally want it within yourself. Right. Because, yeah, it's horrible.
Well, we're building scalpels inside of us, you know, to get higher. If you, if you understand the analogy. We're building inside of us, you know. But, I mean, regular John Doe, they're building, you know, they're building on their 401k, their retirement, and, you know, sitting at home watching, you know, but us, no, we want everything that we can bring in someone's life, bring in someone's home. It's better than furniture. You know?
There's no, I mean, even like the best in the business still trained to be better, still want critiques, still want feedback.
Right.
You know?
And you can't get it from a friend who's not going to tell you.
Okay, and I was talking to one of my models the other day who's doing new music. Right. And, you know, he was sending me his single, and he said, what do you think? And I said, I'm honest with you. Right. And that was just my opinion. And I always say, my opinion is not the end all be all. It's my opinion. Right. But I've also been in the industry for a long time.
Your experience.
I feel like I know what the expectation is of the industry. And so when people sign with me, I'm here to also advise them. Yeah. And so that's what I was doing with this young man, is I was saying, I love that you're pursuing music. Right. And I think you should keep pursuing music. Right. But my honest opinion is I don't think you're ready for the public yet. Right. You know what I mean? Yes. And it was very difficult for him to say, okay, I got to put on my big boy pants. Right. And realize that I need to put more time into this. Yes. You know, and so I think so it's constantly like wanting to improve and to get better. And then also, you know, don't ask your friends how you're doing, because as a friend, you're always going to be like, oh my God, you're doing great. Right. But as an industry side, how great? No, how great! Like, I'm doing great because I'm doing because I'm doing things maybe that you guys aren't doing. So you're proud of me for doing this cool venture. Yes. But like, I used to hate when I get off stage and I'd say, "How did I do this?" Right. And somebody would say, "Oh my God, you did amazing!" And then I'd watch the video and I'd be like, "Live!" Right. You know, like, dang! You know,
I thought you loved me.
Right. Like, and so when you ask a friend their opinion, I think they're giving you more support for your goal. More than, you know, an honest reality check. Yeah, you did good. Or that wasn't your best. Right. You know what I mean? And that wasn't your best. And I feel,
I love it. I love it. Miss D, ladies and gentlemen, I love it.
You know? And there's no filter. Wow. And that's why I love instructors that will tell you. Yes. You know, really with no sugarcoating it. Because how are you going to improve in something? And this isn't just for the entertainment industry, but in life in general. Right. How are you going to improve at something if somebody doesn't really say? That's it. You know, like, I love what you're doing. And because I like the positive with the correction as well. Yes. I love that you're putting energy into that. I love that you're putting your time and your effort into that, but you did not do that correctly. Right. Or good job for getting on stage, because that's a whole step of its own. Right. But it wasn't your best performance on stage. Right. And that's why also people need to realize is it takes time. Right. So if you don't make it in a day, a week, a month, a year, 10 years, keep going. Right. Because it takes time to build all these steps to really be ready. Right. And again, preparation. Preparation meets opportunity. That's right. Is where your success comes from. Said that again. Yeah, because, you know, if an opportunity comes and you're not ready, just like this young man who's thinking he's ready for the music industry, you know, these opportunities are going to come right now, and with him not being ready, that's the way the world is going to see him. Right. Instead of waiting a few more years, then putting it out when you're amazing, and that's the way the world sees you. Yes. You know, but so everybody has to realize that it takes time to be great at what you do. Yes. You know, so
and you need those bumps in the road. You need that
those
detour.
Bumps in the road.
Yeah, you need that detour. You need it. You really need it. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So tell me, what is the goal for DME?
The goal for DME New Mexico right now is to set and represent a high level of talent.
Nice.
And then to give them opportunities that they wouldn't have had because New Mexico is not industry based.
Wow.
You know, there's so many talented people here.
Yeah,
it's insane. But New Mexico was never looked at as a place to scout for models, for dancers, for actors.
Right.
And now that the entertainment industry has been like, oh, New Mexico, look at you.
Right.
Now all of a sudden the talent here has opportunities to be seen, but because we've never been trained to be seen, they need guidance of, this is my portfolio.
Yes.
This is my demo reel.
Yes.
This is whose classes I've been taking.
Wow.
These are my monologues. These are my auditions.
Yes.
Like, and I feel like, so the talent's here, but we've never been reined in or guided on how to present yourself as a professional.
That's good.
And so what I want to do is I guess, advise and guide people through the industry to teach them how to create a portfolio, how to create a good resume, how to represent yourself correctly on social media, how to audition.
Right.
Like, you know, when you go to an audition and somebody doesn't even know how to slate, you need to get your butt back to class.
Right.
You know, but somebody might not know that there's a great acting class because, again, New Mexico is not industry driven, so somebody needs to be here to answer these questions.
Hi, I'm Jonathan Haywood.
Exactly. Okay, and that was a slate, kids. That was a slate. That was a slate. And it sounds so scary because casting directors will be like, slate, and they're like, what is that? Do they want me? What do they want me to do?
Steven drilled me.
Yeah.
Or us. Shall I say us on the class?
Yes, exactly.
And you were sneaking around.
And I was watching, and y'all didn't know. Honey, Mama sees everything. Y'all don't know. Mama sees everything. Mama sees everything. But yeah, so I do feel like, you know, it's just. It just makes me laugh. All this stuff.
Right.
But yeah.
So tell me. Okay, now that you've reestablished, relocated back home, okay. So when you reestablish, what are you going to work towards concerning individuals who are, let's say, really not fit for this? How can you help them find elsewhere?
Like how to start getting ready. So I think the biggest thing with me specifically is I'm trying to stay a boutique agency, which means a small agency.
Okay.
And so I would like to keep like my acting division like under 100. And so I'm not in the job of talent development. Which is kind of where that would land. And which is hard for me because I've been an instructor for over 20 years.
That's the word I was trying to find.
Yeah, so for me not to be able to instruct somebody on how to model and just expect them to show up and know how kind of sort of kills me. Because I'm used to being on the other end. Where
but as you said, boutique though.
But boutique agency, I want to stay small and I want to only represent people that are ready for the opportunities. And so if you're not ready yet, I think don't get discouraged. But you got to then, you know, if somebody comes to me and they say, I've never modeled before, I want to get started. What I do is I give them a list of modeling places around town. Yeah, absolutely. Like QDQ. So for kids specifically, I've got parents hitting me up saying, oh my God, my kid is gorgeous, but we've never modeled before. So call QDQ, which is a child's modeling I mean, it's a co-op where they train the parents and the kids how to create a portfolio. They get them in contact with numerous photographers so the kiddos can start shooting with photographers, which is going to start building their portfolio. And then every time they shoot, they're learning something from every one of those shoots. I'll tell them about, you know, runway classes that might be happening or modeling auditions that might be happening. And so what I do is I will not represent them. I won't sign them, but I'll try to give them different things that they can do to start building up their portfolio to then be ready enough to submit to be represented. And same thing for actors. If they come to me and they say, I want to act, well, have you ever taken an acting class? No. Okay, here is 10 different people that you can take acting classes from. Go. Train. Same thing with dancers. I want to be a dancer. Baby, there are studios on every corner just like a Starbucks. Go find one. You know what I mean?
Right here in Albuquerque.
Oh my God, they're everywhere.
I've been up here so many times that I've never known.
Oh my God, there are dance studios everywhere. It's insane.
Albuquerque, New Mexico.
And so, and you know, I can honestly say there's only a few that I would really, really back as far as like training. I do like the mom and pop studios because they're getting kids the basics. And then there are a few studios that are really prepping them for the entertainment industry. There's a few studios that are taking training training to that next level of higher than recitals.
Yes.
And so if you want to do recital work, great, do that.
Right.
But then also there are studios that are experienced in the industry to where that's what the studio owners are teaching them to do, is how to audition, how to dance in heels, how to take from 100 different choreographers.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so for me, in the talent development side, if somebody comes to me with potential, I give them this information, and if they actually take it and use it and go train and then come back to me a year later, trained, then I know that potential is now actually followed through with, I really want to do this. You know, they kind of prove to me, like, I want to do this. I told you I wanted to do this. You gave me the exact guidelines of what I needed to do to do this. I went out and did this, and now I am back and ready to submit to you. You know what I mean? And so, so I don't, unfortunately.
That's good.
Well, and because I am so hands-on with all of my talent, I wish I did have time to do talent development.
Well, but you don't.
But I just don't have time for it. And so I had to choose, are you a teacher or are you an agent?
Yes.
You know, and I had to step away from talent development, and I had to choose to represent the ones that were ready. And I still do stuff here and there for the ones that aren't. I still offer classes here and there. If somebody wants to take one, I'll try to, you know, but again, as an agent, I'm not really allowed to do some of that stuff either, you know? So I had to choose, you know?
But in that, you're really making a bold statement. I had to choose teacher or agent.
Right.
There's, how many people are going to see this, are going to be faced with that same choice? And you're helping them.
Right.
I need to choose. And so we're saying the same to them. So tell me this, at the age of 13, 16, and 22, some significant things happened in your life.
Huge things!
Huge! So share with us.
When I was 13, I did the, it's called Little Big People in the New York Times. I booked my first big modeling job, which was amazing. So that was kind of my, like, okay.
Right.
You kind of
when you say first big, what are you saying?
I mean, you know, first big international
to you as
job.
13?
At 13, I thought, oh my gosh, I just look cute. I got to play dress up and had photos taken. But my mom is like buying every magazine that gets released. And so to me, that was like, I felt like it was more than, again, just a recital.
Right.
You know, you do stuff and you kind of enjoy it, but then like when you really get this big opportunity, do you take it and do you love it, or do you take it and it scares you? Okay. And I loved it and I embraced it. And I thought, okay. And then I kept pushing. At 16, and mind you, let me just say this, when I was a teenager, I was a dancer, but I was not like the best on the team. And so I trained and I trained and I trained, and I was taking the beginning classes after I got out of the dance classes just so that I could have extra training. Like I worked. When I tell you I worked from being the back of the formation to the front center. And I auditioned for an opportunity to go perform in Paris. And at 16, I booked it. So I went to Paris for 2 weeks, and I performed on the New Year's Day performance in Paris as a dancer. And so then I thought, okay, now I'm an international performer at 16. International performer. And mind you, like, I had also performed all over the United States. Like, we had been to Dallas, we had been to Florida, we had been to LA, we had done these things. And yes, I love it, I love the stage, but to be given an opportunity to go to a different country and show what you've got, you know, so I felt it was like validation, like, okay, you're on the right path. And then when I graduated high school at 17, it was like, what are you going to do now? And most people would have, and this would have probably been smart, gone to college, gotten that, you know, consistent, stable.
But college is not for everyone.
Well, and so I used my college fund to build a dance studio.
Well, it was for you. At that moment, it was for you.
So, you know, but then also, again, here's kind of back to the gypsy thing. Is I knew at that moment that I did not have college to fall back on. If I broke a leg, if I decided not to do it, if I didn't make it, I didn't have this college degree that I could be like, oh, I'll just go be a doctor instead. I chose fully to pursue this entertainment industry, knowing that I might not succeed, but also that being my push is, girl, if you chose this,
you better go.
You better go. You better make moves. You sold your house, you left your family, your husband left you, you better go, you know? And so, you know, that kind of, you have to make that decision, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. And that's why everybody waiting to go to LA, well, I'm going to wait. What you waiting for? what you waiting for?
Right.
Get out there and get better there. Yeah. Get out there and take classes there. Get out there and find a part-time job there.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I feel like I had to make that decision. It was offered to me, and I literally had to choose immediately and say, are you going to stay and live a life where you could literally write out the rest of your life in a book right now?
Yes.
Or are you going to hit it and go on this adventure where you have no idea day to day what it's going to be like?
That's right.
You have no idea where your money's coming from. You have no idea if you're going to make it.
Yes.
Right.
Been there, done
right. And so
I had to make those choices.
Right. And so at 16, it was like the 13 thing was like fun. The 16-year-old thing was like, okay, I feel this. But then when I hit 17, I had to make a decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
and you're coming into womanhood.
Right. Where you're like, you know, and at that time I was in a serious relationship. Like, we were talking, you know, I actually literally moved in with my high school boyfriend. Right. And we lived together for a few years, and then that's why I married.
Okay.
So, I mean, I was in, you know, like, you can either have life.
Right.
Or you could have, you know, industry.
Right.
You know, and I had to choose, and all these different, you know, key moments in my life kind of led me up to making that decision.
Right. So tell me, who have you worked with?
Oh my goodness. So my favorite one that I've worked with is Beyonce.
Beyonce.
Right. And that girl, that's one thing I'll say is like, she does rehearsals more collab than the dancers. Wow. She don't play. Wow. You know what I mean? And so it was great to work with her. I've also worked with people such as LiQWYD. I've worked with Rihanna. I've taught for Madonna, where she had this program called Raising Malawi. Yes. And it's the orphanage in Africa, in Malawi, where she actually that's where she adopted her kids from. Yeah. And then she decided to put a program together where she was going to give back to this orphanage, and so she took her main choreographer, who's Jason Young. Oh, wow. She took her main lead dancer, who was Valerie Pohl, and they got married now, so now it's Valerie Young. Okay. And so the two of them, and then myself and another huge dancer, and he's now a huge choreographer, Brooklyn J. Okay. He is Iggy Iglesias' new choreographer, and he's doing big things. Wow. So the four of us decided to go on this venture to where we were going to create a bunch of different dances, and we're going to go out and teach them to the kids in the orphanage, and then arrange for them to have this huge performance. Wow. And we stayed, you know, on the grounds. It's not like we were in some 5-star hotel. I mean, no, we were playing with the big bugs. We were doing the cold 2-second showers. We were, you know, electricity only a little bit. Right. You know, and so that was huge to actually get to do that under her. And then what's unfortunate is the audition was a little bit after that for her next tour. Okay. And originally it was supposed to be in Los Angeles. Okay. And I was like, all right, I got this. Right. I got this. I just went to Africa for this woman. I got this. Right. They moved the tour to New York at the same time that my car got towed from Los Angeles for God knows how many parking tickets. And it was so bad. It was like your wheels weren't turned to the curb. You were close enough to the curb. You parked during street cleaning. Now that you can't get your registration, now we're giving you tickets because your registration isn't current. I mean, it was so I literally had this huge financial debt at the time that they moved the audition to New York. And there's dancers flying to New York, left and right. Let's go, and booking it. And I was like, man. And I missed my opportunity to actually audition for her, to actually dance for her. And who knows if I would have made it?
Madonna, if you see
Who knows if I would have made it? Girl!
Again, she needs another try.
Oh my God, well, I'm a little aged now. But so is she. So let's be real.
Touche.
And you know, who knows if I would have actually made the cut. But I just feel like the opportunity to actually dance for her instead of, and we didn't, I don't want to say I worked for her. Right. Because it wasn't a working thing. We didn't get paid to go do this. Right. You know what I mean? Like she funded us, she supported us, she sponsored us, she, you know, sent us there to go do this amazing project. And so my connection with her is still a beautiful thing in my life. But I've never been on stage with her.
Yes. Did you hear that? She's never been on stage with you.
Not on stage with you. But you know what? I have so many friends that I actually consider family. Right. Who have booked her tours consistently, and shows, and so I live vicariously through them, and I watch them with her, and I feel almost just as proud as if I was the one.
Understood. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. So listen, that's gonna wrap it for us. But I just had an amazing time just listening to you.
Thank you.
Come on, I believe that this corner here, right in the what is it? The wood.
We're in the Cottonwood Mall.
The Cottonwood Mall.
And we're like in the back corner. So
yeah, give that address if you want.
So we're at 10,000 Coors Bypass, Cottonwood Mall. If you want to come visit, give me a heads up first.
Right.
You know, we're by the Home Life on the lower northwest level, and if you've got some submissions you want to bring in or some advice you need, you know, you can find me online. You can go to DMeTalentAgency.com.
Right.
You can email me at DMeTalentAgency11@gmail.com. Reach out to me.
On your Facebook, sure. Your
oh my God, reach out to me on Facebook and Instagram too. If you send messages, you know, I'll answer back and say, here's some classes you can take, or here's how you submit to me. So there are at least 5 to 6 different ways that you can reach out
to me. Your schedule. Let them know your schedule.
Y'all, scheduling is horrible. You must, like right now, I'm literally 6 weeks out for a meeting.
Right.
6 weeks out for a meeting. So you got to schedule. If you just show up, I'm going to say hi and keep it pushing because it's busy. So please, and also respectfully, don't ever just show up at your agent's expecting time to have a meeting. That's right. If you want to stop by and say hi.
I booked this, okay?
Right. We had to set this time. So I love when people stop by and say hi or drop off their new photos or drop off a submission. But out of respect, also realize
you'll also, do you have a mailbox that they can slide into?
I don't. You know, I would say the best thing to do is reach out to me on some form of either social media or through the professional page, and then I will let you know the best way for you to submit.
On your professional page, will you accept a letterhead or some kind of electronic feed somehow? How do you
so what I normally do is if somebody reaches out to me on social media and, you know, it's like my my agency messages.
Right.
Then they say, I want to be a model. Then I send them the email address and I say, okay, send me a letter of interest to DMe Talent Agency 11@gmail.com. Exactly. Yes. And then along with that letter of interest, include your portfolio submission. And if they say, well, I don't have one, then that's where we start. Yes. Go get one. Right. Then come talk to me. Okay. You know what I mean? And so what I will do is I will guide them through what they need to do once they reached out to me with interest. I will say, now here's what I need you to provide to me, and then if they have it, then they send that back to me. Then if I like what I'm looking at, then I'll set up a meeting. Right. But patience is a virtue, you all, because you know, we've got over 100 submissions to the agency sitting in a folder right now.
And your cap is 100,
and I'm capping the acting division at 100, and I'm at 84. But the stunt division, the dance division, the model division, and the specialty division is still pretty wide. Wow. And specialty, you guys, goes from everything from, we've got drag queens. We've got amazing drag queens. Okay. We've got stilt walkers. We've got fire dancers. We've got aerialists. We've got opera singers. There was one time where I booked out a marching band. Wow. So when I tell you specialty division, if somebody has a specialty, I like to know about that. Yes. You know, that's awesome. Yeah, so there's ways. So
well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We want to thank you so much for joining us down live at DMe Talent Agency with Miss Deidre Michelle. And I am your host, the one and only Joe Nathan Haywood, aka Stinger J. Hey. So thank you so much. So much. Miss D, I really appreciate you so much. Yeah, just allow me to come down and to be an official model actor for DME.
We represent this amazing man.
Thank you so much.
Casting directors.
Voila.
He also hosts.
Yes, and I sing.
And he sings. Okay, y'all.
2-time bestseller author as well.
And writes.
Yes.
See.
Yes, do a little bit of everything. Thank you. But this is about Miss D, and I really appreciate everything that you've done. Every word that you've said, I'm quite sure that someone will take a few moments and let those words kind of massage in there. Remember,
I hope so.
I really do. Come on down to the
Cottonwood
Mall and come and